Welcome to The Explainer. So, when we think of Benjamin Franklin, we usually picture, a founding father, a statesman, the guy flying a kite in a thunderstorm, or just the face staring back at us on the $100 bill, right? But what you might not realize is that he was actually an 18th century self-improvement guru. In 1730, a young Franklin wrote this essay called On Conversation, and reading through it today, it's absolutely mind-blowing. It proves that human nature literally hasn't changed a bit in 300 years. If you're looking to practice self-discipline and achieve true personal and social success, well, Franklin actually left us the ultimate playbook. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. Basically a syllabus for a modern masterclass on self-discipline. We're going to cover the art of pleasing, the 2 grain requisites, the trap of the ego, the dangers of raillery, bears, tigers, and gossip, and finally, command your own temper.
Section 1. The Art of Pleasing, 300-year-old Secrets to Human Nature. So, our ultimate goal here is mastering the delicate art of pleasing in conversation. It's something everyone thinks they possess, but honestly, most of us fail at. Why? Because it requires immense self-discipline. As Franklin notes, learning and wit without good nature only occasion envy and disgust. What's really interesting about this is how Franklin completely calls out the whole smartest person in the room syndrome. Think about it for a second. Reflect on a time when someone's wit or raw intelligence just felt, well, incredibly arrogant. Without empathy and a good nature, your brain power is actually a major roadblock to your social success. People aren't going to admire you, they're just going to resent you.
Section 2. The 2 grand requisites, the foundation of social success.
Okay, so if raw intelligence isn't the answer, what actually works? Well, it starts with our first requisite, compliance. Franklin defines this as a seeming preference of others to ourselves. Today, in modern self-help terms, we'd probably call this empathetic deference. It's that conscious self-discipline to put someone else's comfort, their viewpoints, and their presence slightly ahead of your own need to be the center of attention. And that pairs perfectly with the second requisite, good nature. Franklin defines this as a readiness to overlook or excuse others' foibles and do them all the services we can. When you combine that empathetic deference with a genuine willingness to forgive people's silly little mistakes and, actively help them out, you become an absolute magnet. These 2 traits make people fond of us for their own sake. They literally just feel good being around you. Moving on to Section 3, the trap of the ego, the illusion of good conversation. So if good nature is the ideal, reality is usually, well, an ego-driven mess. We naturally think we please others by setting ourselves to view and showing our own perfections. We want to prove how awesome and capable we are, right? And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute irony of human nature. The effectual way to be loved is actually the exact opposite, admiring others and indulging their vanity. If you want to look smart and be loved, you have to practice the extreme self-discipline of stepping back and letting others shine. Just give them the stage, and they'll praise you in return.
Let's look at another classic ego trap, the 2 extremes of bad listening. Talking over much is what Franklin beautifully calls a mere chaos of noise and nonsense. Dominating the floor is literally an usurpation of common liberty. I mean, you're stealing airtime. But on the flip side, seeming unconcerned is just as bad. Giving a simple no, yes, or a lazy nod shows blatant disrespect. It completely affronts our basic human desire to be noticed and valued.
Franklin actually gives a hilarious anecdote about this exact type of ego clash. He says, and I quote, "I knew 2 ladies, gifted this way, who by accident traveled in a boat 20 miles together. They could never after mention each other's name with any temper." Think about that. 2 overtalkative people stuck in a tiny boat for 20 miles, both just trying to force words in edgeways, neither listening, resulting in a mutual, lifelong aversion to each other. It's funny for sure, but it's a really profound warning. Then, you have the folks who just talk entirely about their own affairs. Quarreling with servants, froward and dirty children, what's for dinner tomorrow, spoiling a suit of clothes. Imagine being cornered at a networking event and someone is just rapid-firing these trivial, self-centered complaints at you. Strangers simply do not care about the minor inconveniences of your daily life. It is overwhelmingly tiresome.
You also have people prying into others' secrets, telling long, rambling stories, bringing a spirit of wrangling and disputing or flying to personal reproaches instead of actual argument. We all know someone exactly like this. Franklin points out how older folks are especially prone to repetitive, rambling stories where the listeners secretly, and I love this phrasing, wish their tongues out, or the argumentative person who lacks actual knowledge, so they turn every tiny trifle into a serious quarrel through pure noise and fury. It's a total failure of self-discipline.
Section 4. The dangers of raillery,
toxic banter and its consequences.
Now we move into some truly destructive habits. Franklin talks extensively about raillery, or what we'd call toxic banter today, using a brilliant culinary analogy. Mocking banter is like salt. A little gives a relish, it adds flavor, and, a gentle tease among close friends can be incredibly fun. But by the handfuls, it spoils everything entirely. And Franklin is very strict on this rule. You must never mock natural deformities or unavoidable misfortunes. That isn't banter, that's just inhumane.
Because when wit takes a wrong turn and targets someone's actual faults, it creates what Franklin calls a wound that rankles. This is the bold danger of wrong-turned wit. Exposing someone's deep insecurities doesn't make you look clever to the group. It leaves a permanent mark on that person's heart that is often never, ever forgiven.
And what's the ultimate result? An inveterate enemy. Just for the sake of a jest, maybe for a cheap laugh in the heat of the moment, you might lose a friend forever. Good manners dictate a very simple rule here. The absolute second you see a grave face in the room or notice someone becoming uneasy, you change the subject immediately to something more harmless.
Section 5. Bears, Tigers, and Gossip. The terrifying reality of scandal.
This brings us to the natural, even darker cousin of toxic banter, scandal or gossip. Franklin literally labels the gossip as the pest of society. People who pry into others' business specifically to uncover and aggravate their mistakes don't gain esteem, even if they really think they do. Instead, they become feared, hated, and viewed as absolute pests by everyone around them.
I absolutely love how theatrical and dramatic Franklin gets right here. He writes, "Such creatures are mischievous as bears or tigers and are as much abhorred and feared." Listen, even the people who smile and seem to genuinely enjoy listening to your juicy gossip, they are secretly viewing you with absolute horror. They know full well that if you're doing it to someone else, their own reputation is never safe around you.
Section 6. Command your own temper. The ultimate solution for self-mastery.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually rise above the noise to achieve ultimate social success? Well, Franklin leaves us with an incredibly empowering, actionable checklist. 1. Be easy and affable, keeping your words few. 2. Never trouble others with your own affairs. 3. Excuse people's failings and actively avoid disputes. And number 4, the ultimate key that ties the whole shebang together. Command your own temper. Social mastery is entirely about choosing self-discipline and good nature over your own ego.
Which leaves us with one final profound question to consider today. Are you commanding your temper or letting your ego command you? It's a 300-year-old challenge from Benjamin Franklin himself, daring us to practice true self-discipline in our modern lives. Keep that in mind the next time you step into a conversation, and just watch how the room changes. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.